Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell, joined by my co-host as always, Marky Davison. How you doing, mates?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. On the visual side here, it's almost the Mo Bro show.
It is almost the Mo Bro show. I love it.
We're cracking in our Mo's, aren't we? As I look to my left and look into the mirror of myself here, it's November. It's 14 days in. The Mo's are glistening. They're shining. On the audio side, though, you don't care about that. You care about the Steelers are 5-3. How good's that? How good is that?
It's so good. And then the Miami Dolphins, mate. The Miami Dolphins did us a solid. I got to watch a bit of that at the end of the game there, and that was some awesome defense. Man, what about Xavier Howard? Did you see that run back he did after he got that interception? Man,
I tell you, thank you, refs, for not blowing that play dead. Thank you. Hallelujah. They let the play go. Great. It was a forced fumble, recovery, run for a touchdown, score. And they go up to have, put themselves in front. I say thank you to the refs because that was a play in history where they normally throw the flag or they call the whistle and they say that it was incomplete. Let them play and then judge it after. I was so happy to see the Dolphins played that game. They end up blitzing, I think, 25 to 30 times. And I love the way how they played Jackson. People were saying it wasn't Jackson's fault. No. It was. It was the O-line fault. The Ravens weren't ready. The Dolphins were showing 7 or 8 in blitz, dropping out 2. They had in coverage. They had 3 or 4, safeties back there. It was, if you go back and watch that game, a fantastic defensive scheme game. And they had them. They had them all day.
Well, and this is it, right? So you've hit on a couple of awesome points there, Mark. Like, number one, I want to say, can you imagine Minka in that defense as well as Xavier Howard and Brandon Jones and all the rest of it? Like, that would be like lights out. But I think you're totally right. And some good stuff in the live chat. We'll get to that. I don't want to lose the train of thought. But there's now on tape what you need to do to beat the Ravens. And you kind of feel like, I think Miami Dolphins played well, right? They've won 2 weeks. I think they've won 2 weeks in a row now. I might be correct in saying, right?
Yep.
And so they were 2-17 going into this game. But the thing about what Miami did is that, I don't want to look past what they did because they had a tremendous defensive game. Like, you've got to rock up to win the game, and you got to rock up to play. And we talked about rock up, a couple of weeks ago. So now I want to work that in because it is something that I use a lot. But the Ravens have had all these close wins, and now you finally start to see it come to a bit of a fore. And I think they're going to have to go through a moment over the next few weeks, like what the Browns did last week, where you have a loss, you've started off the season really well. Are you going to come crashing down back to earth, or can you, is it just a stumble as you continue on? And that's what's really interesting to see. But when we talk about this week and, the title of the show about revving the playoff engine, the Steelers aren't in the playoffs yet. They're not going to be in the playoffs for the last few weeks of the season. But can we put that foot on the pedal? Like after you've restarted your car, after you got a flat battery, and you're revving the engine and you're getting pumped up and you're recharging that battery, this is the time to do it. This is the time to win the games that you should, get the top of the AFC North, hold it, stay in the competition, at least solidify, that 7th spot for the playoffs. And Steelers have the opportunity this week. And that's what I'm really excited about, just as we were last week, and it's what it will be for the next few weeks. They can control their own destiny to a degree now, right? Because the reality is, if you get these wins and then you split the remaining games of the division, as long as we beat the Bengals, but, if we can win the next game against the Browns, and then split against the Ravens, we could have this. Or even if we lose to the Browns, we beat the Ravens twice, we might actually have the AFC North. And that's what I'm really excited about from this week. And, I'm just glad that, good on Lamar. I'm not a Lamar fan, but good on him. He's carrying that team. But one thing I would say is you saw him getting angry at those wide receivers. This really could come crashing down to earth for
I'm
them.
telling you.
And Tucker missed the field goal.
It was such a good defense. Yeah. Such a good defense, though, really. You go back and watch that game, and if you guys if you have the opportunity to have Game Pass or whatever, or go around a mate's house, the game was a brilliant game plan.
The second half's worth watching for sure.
It was unbelievable. Lamar Jackson got sacked 4 times. It couldn't go anywhere. They tried doing the halfback toss or the option route to throw to the running back. They couldn't go anywhere. Even if Lamar did scramble, They had 7 people in the box to run him around a little bit. By the time the cornerbacks or the safety knew that it was a run for Lamar Jackson, they'd run down to the box and help out. So he was never getting away. He could not. I can't believe they played that defense. It was such a good defense to watch. They held the Ravens to 3 points for so long. Xavier Howard had the fumble and ran away. And the Dolphins, look, you got to cheer them on. Like, if you're a Dolphin fan, you're not going to the playoffs this year. But it was a fantastic win, and it gives the rest of the NFL to say, hey, we can beat Lamar. We can beat these Ravens. Harbaugh was so upset on the sidelines, and it helps us out too. If we win this game versus the Detroit Lions, we are number 1 in the AFC North, and we are trending up. Whereas all the other teams, Bengals, 2 losses. Browns, are they Super Bowl Browns? What can they do? Ravens lose, and they're just sneaking. They snuck away 3 times with 3 overtime games. So, and the Steelers are trending up. What more do you want, Steeler Nation? What more do you want?
That's it. And so Brian Brown brings up Aussie Steelers family. That's it. You know, we got Sean Manahan in the live chat. We got Brad Jewett. You know, we got Devil was in there. I think first. Just me, Brian, obviously, Owen, Mike Wood. You know, Dust Thunder's in there too. Just, and then there's some people as well that are obviously watching right now that are on the live chat too. And then obviously, you know, so we're so excited to have you all. Like this, it's what makes it, you know, a YouTube show and a Facebook live show, and, you know, having all you guys in the live chat. We also want to recognize, because Mark and I do a lot with the live chat, and we love talking to you guys. We love interacting with all the questions. We also want to acknowledge the audio listeners too, because we have a really good podcast following that started out with this before we're on this. And I know that some of the people in the live chat listen to all the podcasts too. But not everyone can make our show. It's a Saturday night. That doesn't work for everyone, you know, in the States. But we're just thankful to everyone that's supporting us as, you know, Touch Down Under, you know, and Marky D and Matty P. And, you know, so we're just really excited to be able to talk Steelers with you all. It's been a big week. We're just keen to crack into it.
I just want to say right now to the audio guys, flip it. You're overcooking it. Flip it. Because they might be making breakfast. You never know. Slow down. Don't drive.
I was going to say eyes on the road. And remember to indicate. Particularly if you're in Australia. People don't indicate in Australia. I don't know why I hate it. Actually, they don't indicate. I'm just going to bring this up. When I drove from LA to San Diego almost 2 years ago, I can't believe it was 2 years ago now. Man, no one indicated. Doing like 80 mile an hour and no one's indicating. You got an indicator for a reason. I don't know. Also, drive safely, people. Drive safely.
Brian Brown brings up, says you guys are early today. I think because you guys actually have the daylight savings in America now.
Yeah, that's right. They've swapped over.
Yeah. So when we start normally, it's an hour difference, I think. It's better for us because we get the game tomorrow versus Detroit at 5 a.m., which is so much better. And then the 4 p.m. games is 8 a.m. and then the next one is 12 lunchtime. So yeah. It all around this time, week 10 and week 9, it changes for you guys and it's better for us.
Yeah. So it's almost 9 a.m. on our Sunday morning here, live from the future as always. But Mark, let's crack into that. Like, you know, you and I didn't get to talk. You know, we're being very careful, listeners, around how much we talk because we want things to be fresh and we want to react live, to the game. And Mark did a really solid job this week. So if people didn't catch my War Room show this week, which, you know, there's people have busy weeks, I didn't watch the game live this week. It happened during the middle of the day, Australian time. And, it was during my work day. So I saved it up. I turned off all the notifications and I watched it live at night, and had a really authentic experience. It was my Tuesday night. It would have felt like what you guys do on a Monday night. So it was really kind of fun. So it was really, really good to see that. And so I asked Mark, I messaged him before and I was like, oh, Mark, is it positive? It was middle of the game. I was like, is it positive? Should I bother saving it for tonight? And he didn't even respond. And I
didn't write back.
Come on, man. Come on. And I'm like sending question marks and Mark's not responding. But Mark, now we get to talk about the game. How are you feeling after it?
Well,
pretty good. It was a weird game. Especially when you watch it back, man, I can only imagine what you're thinking at the time. And
well, when your message came in, we're up about 14-0, and I didn't want to give you. Right. I didn't want to give you any clue at all. So I just chose not to write back. I just thought, and then your second lot of messages came in and was like, "Oh, come on, man! What is really happening? I need to know: is it a good game, a bad game?" And I think we're around 14-3 at halftime. I thought we were really good. I thought the defense played well at the start. I thought the TJ TJ came near the end of the game, but the offense was playing pretty good. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. And then we had the 20-6, and it all. I know we're going to talk about it, but it all stopped with the Ray fumble, and it gave them 7 points, and they came back in the game. I think the Bears actually scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. Did you know that? However, going into the third quarter, they were rushing down the field, and they were about 50 yards or 40 yards, so that gave them a bit of a advantage. However, the Bears came back 22. Look, a win is a win, really, and we didn't play well, in the offensive line. However, there are certain plays where I think they did play well with the offensive line. Fryermuth had time to get in the end zone, and it reminiscent of like the 2007 or 2006, Steelers, when Big Ben had time in the pocket. He runs out to the left and slings it to the end zone. Fryermuth open for a touchdown, and the O-line picked up the blitz, they ended up having like four Bears in one big group. So look, they're hurting us. They're hurting our heart for sure. Like, you're so keen, and then next minute we're down 27-26. Like, how does that happen? And then we go to win a field goal. Like, unbelievable.
Well, Mark, Sean Manahan, $2 in the tip jar. He says the Steelers are going to be 6-3, and without the win against the Bears, we wouldn't be 6-3. So to be 5-4. So and I think that's what Steel fans got to be really thankful for, right? Like, at the end of the day, we got the job done. Doesn't matter how close it was. I don't want to labor too much on the Cassius Marsh thing. I think it was right for him to be penalized. It's been done all season. I thought it was I don't want to say the word because we'll get done on YouTube for it, and we're a family show, but I think it was a dumb move from him. It was a spiteful move. I get, if he'd gone straight to them and done something really quickly, fine. Yeah. But that was just, mate, you have okay, fairness, he's played more NFL games than you and I are ever going to play. But at the end of the day, you're acting as if you're TJ Watt. Like, TJ Watt had 3 sacks. He performing on like that, and almost taking the lead for the NFL for sacks? Well, no. So you don't need to behave like that.
Well, looking back at it, I didn't think it was a very good call. But looking back at it, I think, okay, it is a call because he did go about 15 yards to the sideline, and he muscled up, and he gave him a big stand down. You can't do it. That's what they're calling this year. You can't do it, right? So the Bears fans are upset, but there's a point where maybe, just maybe, do what TJ Watt does, and when you celebrate, go down the middle of the field and look at the big TV. Don't worry about going to the sideline. There's history there, of course. So he had intent to do it. Now the emotion comes in. How can referees flag on emotion? That gets a bit hairy. At the end of the day, though, I think with any of these penalties, and some are yes and some are no, we don't agree with. But if you're Marsh, make the tackle and run to your sideline as fast as you can. If you know the refs are doing this on these calls, you make the tackle and you run to the sideline and you don't do anything because it cost them the game. They would have had a better chance to win for sure.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? So what, I guess, because I've got a few things about this game. Give me 2 things that stood out for you for this game that you don't think necessarily everyone cottoned on to, or that you were surprised about. Give me 2 things that the Steelers did that surprised you.
The Boswell fumble recovery that didn't get acknowledged by the AFC Player Special Team of the Week. Are you joking?
As Pat McAfee said, he had one of the best quarters ever in the NFL, at least from a kid.
Mate, that in the punter, like some dude from like the Chief land got he did like 4 kicks and he got 1 average for 50 or something. Boswell nails 2 field goals over 50 and gets a field goal winner over 40 yards and a recovery, and you don't give that guy the recognition.
Oh, the week after he's got concussed after trying to throw a touchdown pass and being laid out off a foul that didn't get called. Is Chris Boswell the most underrated player in the NFL right now, or the most under-recognized? He didn't even get a penalty called against him.
Exactly. I think under-recognized because Justin Tucker is about 90%. If you go into Boswell's stats, Boswell's 88% for his career. Only 2% difference, and they're saying that Justin Tucker is a legend, future Hall of Famer, and Chris Boswell is getting nothing. Nothing. Not even the recognition to say, okay, he got the fumble and the 3 field goals to win them the game. Ben put them in the position.
Justin Tucker has a few years on Boswell, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does. But at the same time, if you're going to look at stats, 88% and 90% are pretty similar. And Tucker missed the other field goal 40 yards the other day, and no one says a word because he's a legend. But Boswell gets 3 field goals and there's nothing. There's no recognition at all. I don't understand. They don't like
Tucker's got 3 more years on him too.
Yeah, well, the NFL doesn't like the Steelers. They don't like us to be, TJ Watt. Well, my second thing would be TJ Watt. 3 sacks in this game, and there's not a word, or there's a few NFL, MVP or the guy's caliber to rate them are saying he might be Defensive Player of the Year, but they're still giving it to Garrett somehow.
I don't know how that's going to go to Garrett. Like, come off it.
I don't understand.
Come on.
TJ has.
And I also think with Tucker too. If Tucker was kicking in Pittsburgh, right now, I'm not disputing Tucker is a fantastic kicker, but like if I just pulled up their stats, right, and Tucker's made 3 times as many field goal kicks over 50 yards, but Tucker don't have to kick in Pittsburgh. Like, where there's an end of the field that's basically impossible to kick. Like,
I've got one more thing about field goals, the Field Goal Podcast.
The Field Goal Podcast. Not the Pizza Podcast, the Field Goal Podcast.
And bagging out the announcers. You and I could have done a better job announcing this football game because these announcers, there was one time with the last-minute field goal, which had my heart almost turning upside down, and they said, "Oh my, it's hit the crossbar." No, it didn't. It didn't hit the crossbar. It landed like 6 feet or 10 feet short, and the announcers got it wrong. And you're meant to paint the picture for everyone. And for me watching the game, I understand you're watching the TV, but can you stick your head out the window and say, "Hey, mate, like, what's the real truth of the fact?" And
it was clear. Like, if you rewind it, it's actually clear. Like, the crossbar is here and it misses. Like, the foreground of the picture, the ball is in the middle ground. It never enters the foreground of the picture. Like,
it was absolute joke. Absolute joke. You can't paint that picture that way and make the Steelers fans, because if you just say, "Oh, he's kicked it," it's gone 10 yards short, Steelers win. That's great. We feel better. And lastly, there was a time when they scored the point. I think they were 26-26. And one of the announcers, I think I put it in the Slack channel, one of the announcers says they probably should go for 2 here. They have a better chance of going for 2 and have a chance to win. And then he backtracked his statement and said, "Oh, no, actually, they're better off going for 1 point." Of course they're better off going for 1 point. Like, why would you go for 2 points in that scenario?
But what about the announcers? The announcers lied. Did you hear what they said about Najee?
Yes, that too. What are you doing?
Najee's sleeping on the floor, and then Najee's like, "I didn't sleep on the floor."
Oh, there was almost another point too where they started talking to him. They were talking to him as he was like a spider, like saying, if you just talk to him nicely, he'll talk nicely back to you. Did you catch that part? They were saying where,
yeah.
Come on, man, can't be doing that. Like, they don't know. They don't know these Steelers. They don't understand. They look, homelessness is a big problem. We're not going to get into that. And I understand all these things with mental issues and that kind of stuff. But Najee went on Twitter and just said, "I slept in a bed."
But he's playing at Alabama at that point. They were saying he was sleeping on the floor in college. He's not sleeping on the floor. He's like he's one of the busiest running backs in all of college football. He ain't sleeping on the floor. He's sleeping on probably a $6,000 mattress.
I don't understand some of these announcers. They just trying to make the narrative worse or harder than what it is.
You can't make it up. Like, Brooke Pryor's making them up on Twitter, like changing the score halfway through a game. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It's crazy. But
what else stood out to you about the Steelers? Like in terms of what they did differently or not differently in this game?
Actually, there was one last thing I would say that I don't think I've ever seen it before. In the stats, I think 3 receivers had 6 carries combined for 30, 40 yards. I don't remember seeing a game we've used the receivers as a Steeler like that. Being 6 carries, you don't normally see that high amount of carries. Where I think it was Washington went off the edge. Claypool got the first down. I think DJ was even involved. I think each receiver had 2 runs, and that kind of breaks up the running game as well to help out Najee. So we're talking about who's our second running back, and the Steelers are using their receivers as running backs, and they're using anyone. I think they even used Freiermuth was in there too.
Well, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about is that shovel pass from Ben to Freiermuth. I mean, that's something we haven't seen a lot. I liked it. I mean, it was very like rugby-esque, except it was a forward pass. But I really liked it. And that goes back and goes into the second thing that I wanted to talk about, which is Gentry. I mean, Gentry's blocking in this game. Like, he stands up on tape. Like, before our show today, I was lying in bed. I just woke up. I watched the game in 40 minutes. On Game Pass, you can watch the 40-minute one. And it did stand out to me when I watched the actual game. But, when you're watching the full game, who's blocking it you're more focused in the tempo of the game, particularly when you're watching it late like I am, and I just want to know who wins the game, right? But when you watch it back, there are a lot of some of Najee's best runs. Like, Gentry is in there, man. Like, you and I were making fun of him at the start of this season and whatever. He's showing up. Like, I'm excited about what this could be. And it goes back to what Bad was talking about in the preview a little bit around the new linebacker that they signed from the Falcons about one man's trash is another man's treasure. Man, I liked what I saw from Gentry.
And even with Frymouth too, and I have to do our Manly Award soon. Do we get into the Shield? Do we bring up Shield's chat, or might bring?
We haven't yet. No, I was waiting for a break and play. And now, 2-minute TV timeout. We bring up Shield's $5 in the chip jar. Thanks so much, Shield. Big fan of the show, Shield 91. Aloha, mates. Tuning in from Oahu. I think is that how you say it? Maybe I stuffed that up.
No, you've made me stuff it up. Wait, Oahu. Is it Oahu?
Oahu is Oahu.
Yeah. That's it.
Oahu, yeah. It's like one of those, like with the Pacific Islands sort of style, things that people say Samoa, but it's Samoa. It's hard to, and like, some people say Tonga, but it's Tonga. Anyway. But he says, strange trying to keep up with football 5 hours behind, but looking forward to tomorrow's game. Cheers. Shield, try being 12 or 14 hours behind, mate.
Hang on, Shield, mate. We gave you a bit of a prep up talk before you run, but 5 hours, we're 14, maybe 15 hours behind.
That's a good time, mate. Like, particularly if they're playing at 4 p.m., mate. You get on the bevies, you start early. That's good. That's a good time.
I think right in our news, Odell Beckham Jr. is just signing for the Rams now. That's what just came in.
Really?
Yeah.
I also heard that Cam Newton's going back to the Panthers. But it's just some idiot on Twitter that's tweeted that out. I don't know if that's happening.
Peyton Manning's coming back for Super Bowl 50. He's going to win that. That's how slow we're getting our news in Australia.
That's even if we get the news.
Yeah, well, there was for a period of time. I think for a month we weren't allowed the news. That was quite comical.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't. Those American tech giants decided we weren't going to be listening to anything.
You and I couldn't even go on the Behind the Steel Curtain website or
Facebook page.
We weren't allowed anywhere. We were gonskis. So
we were worried actually, and I don't know if people missed that show or not. But the show that we did that week when Facebook and Google tried to ban all news in Australia, like Mark and I literally did not know whether we were going to have the show or not. Like, we did the show assuming that it was going to go live, but we were literally very worried there was going to be no show.
Yeah, we had no news at all, which is maybe a good thing, but we couldn't get any sport. Like, it was so strange.
Weird week. That was a weird week.
Upside down, for sure.
Particularly like at work, one of my clients is a big player in the social media space, and they were freaking out big time. But anyway, is what it is. But Mark, we've had another game, which means we've got another another set. Ironheart, BTSC, Manly Awards, Ironheart segment. Give it to us.
Well, I cheated a little bit because we use the same page, so some of our answers are very similar, but you have to give these guys points. Who's your number 3 this week? Who's your number 3 points for the best player?
I'm trying to remember who I had now.
Well, we had the same. You had Muth.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry. Because now the reason why I'm stalling actually is I changed it 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. This week I could have given points to a lot of people. Okay. So this week I had Muth because it's 2 touchdowns. There's some key plays. When I watched it back, there's that shovel run we're talking about. There was a key catch that he made to continue the field goal drive in the 4th quarter. Massive from Pat Freiermuth, right? He's just absolutely developing. I talked about him in War Room this week. Obviously, when I do the rookie reports, he's 1 touchdown off being the best in the NFL with tight ends. He's ahead of how many? Do you know how many touchdowns Kyle Pitts has, Mark? A top 10 draft pick?
1.
0.
Is that right? 0?
Unless I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw 0.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Even if he's got now you've got me questioning. I'm pretty sure he's got 0. I heard that.
Well, I just guessed. I
assumed you've thrown me off there. But he's definitely got less than Pat Freiermuth, right?
There you go.
But Pat's really stepping up, right? And so if Pat gets the 3 points this week, I'm excited for what Pat can do. And as I said on War Room this week, I won't go into War and Peace on it, but I honestly, what Pat is doing now is not just helpful for Ben this season, and it's very helpful for Ben this season. It's helpful for the Steelers in a couple of years' time when we've got a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, and actually, my 3 points this week was for Muth as well. Everything you said, I agree with. And I want to add one more thing. His blocking is brilliant. There's a few plays where he did go around the outside and he had a lane for Najee Harris. So his blocking is really good. But it's a guy in progress too. We can't, crown him to be the best player of all players or ever play the game just yet. But he had 2 touchdowns. He has sure hands. He's playing pretty good football. Who's your number 2? And I know if you don't know,
I should say Carl Pitts does have 1 touchdown. I have checked that.
There you go.
I have checked that.
Who's your number 2? If you don't know it, I know it.
No, I pulled it up. I was trying to remember. It's Chris Boswell, man.
Yep, 100%.
But, I'm also not just jumping on the train like the rest of the NFL. I gave Boz points a couple of weeks back.
You did.
Remember, right?
You did.
So Boz is, man, you can't give, you almost need to give him a point for the fumble recovery, a point for the game-winning touchdown, and a point for getting 2 50-yard field goals. But that doesn't beat 2 touchdowns from Pat Freemuth. But Boz, Wizard of Boz, I think he's overtaken Tucker. I know Tucker's had a better career so far. I just think this season, Boswell needs to be the AFC kicker for the Pro Bowl. Just me.
Well, I kind of like how Boz is so, hidden and secret because they put all the pressure on Tucker to him to be the best and we can be the second best. Because, like I said, he's got 88% kick rate. Yes, he had a down year. And even last week, he got knocked out. So my 2 points is also going to Boswell because he put up 9 points in the field goals and 2 50-yarders, mate. 2 50-yarders, a 50 and a 54. I think his highest is 56 in Heinz Field, which is a record. Anyone who's counting out Boz doesn't know that he's the wizard. He's the Wizard of Boz. He's just there. I did feel a turn in my stomach for the game winner just because I didn't think we need to be put in that position, being down by so many points. It's different if we come back to win the game to win it. If we're down by 10 points and we get a win a field goal that way, your mentality is different. But being up by 14 points and then relying on your kicker to win the game, that was hard to see. I turned away when I was watching. I didn't want to hear it. And luckily we didn't get a call like the announcers. It hit the crossbar, you losers. It didn't hit the crossbar. Stick to your day job and hopefully call. And the day job is being an announcer and hopefully call a better game. My Boswell, he gets 2 points. What about your number 1? I don't know. I can't remember who your number 1 point was though.
TJ Watt, man, 3 sacks, three quarterback hits, 1 pass defense, 4 I think individual tackles. TJ killed it, and you want to give TJ more, but I can't give him 3 points every week. But you know what I love about it, and I almost gave him the Manly Award, but I didn't because I had to give the Manly Award to someone else who I thought deserved points this week, and we'll get there in a sec. But TJ Watt. Myles Garrett's not the defensive player of the year. TJ Watt is. Every single stat line apart from half a sack, TJ's well far ahead. And this is what's going to be interesting because if I'm not mistaken, Aaron Donald last year had more sacks than TJ, but they almost had the same for TJ had slightly more forced fumbles. If Garrett let's say their sacks are almost level pegging with 2. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the forced fumble difference is if TJ misses out on the Defensive Player of the Year award, because I've heard different players in interviews talk about the fact that a forced fumble is more impactful than a sack at times, because obviously it's a splash play, you can get the football versus a sack, you might kill a drive or you might, force a long down, but you're not actually necessarily being able to change the play. So this season, if TJ has got 3 or 4 more forced fumbles difference to what the sack difference is between them, and he doesn't win this award, I'm never caring about the Defensive Player of the award ever again because it's absolutely crap.
Well,
that's crap.
During the halftime awards, and I didn't understand that actually top 50 analysts or announcers or whoever decide the actual award. Yep. So that I've actually put a few bets on it now. I'm feeling a bit terrible because if they're gonna choose, I thought it was like a fan vote, like a fans, and there was more of a committee, but 50 people to decide it. I think 25 so people went for Myles Garrett, and one of the comments was saying something similar to, doesn't matter how many forced fumbles TJ Watt gets, Miles Garrett will have more sacks and he still get the award. I don't agree with that.
It's absolute crap.
Yeah.
And also TJ steps into the middle more. He has more pass defenses. Like, defensive player of the year award is not who's won the sacks. It's who's the defensive player of the year. To me, the defensive player is the person that gets the most hits, that get, like, overall, like, if you measure it on 5 things, it's quarterback hits, it's sacks, it's interceptions, if you have any, it's pass defenses, tackles for a loss, sacks, right? And maybe you take out quarterback hits and you have sacks there. It's 5 things. And then maybe you count the tackles. TJ Watt is going to outdo Miles Garrett on all of those 5 or 7 different stat lines. And I just think it's ridiculous that you can argue that Garrett's a defensive player of the year. He's not.
Well,
TJ is right now.
Midway, they're calling for Garrett to be that spot. My 1 point as well is for TJ. Everything you said, I just like the bloke got 3 sacks in this game, and he was a wrecking machine the whole game. And near the end, he closed the game out, so that helped us win. Who's your Manly guy this week?
Oh, it's Big Ben. Big Ben led that team. Yeah, Big Ben led that team. He deserved 1 or 2 points. Big Ben. All I need to say. He sat up there and he took it like a man when the offensive line collapsed around him. Big Ben.
Well, I think he got sacked 4 times. So I agree with that. But my Manly award this week is Cameron Heyward.
Good choice.
Just because he's a beast. He's a massive unit. He's huge. He's affecting the play so much. But I like that the interception he got. You know, it's kind of forgotten because you didn't see the ball travel 20, 30 yards in the air. It traveled like 4 yards, got pinballed around, and then Heyward picked it off. You're like, how did the big man get that? You know?
So good.
That was awesome to see. Who's going to be your coach in this win?
Actually, on the Heyward one, my fiance and I were watching the game together, and she was like, "Look at him catch it! He's so happy with it."
Yeah,
like that's it was his second ever, and she's like, "Cameron Heyward, only his second ever." I'm like, "I know." And good to see him get one. He bats down all those balls. It was terrific. Coach of the week, I think I gave it to Canada again. I think
there you go.
You saw that it goes back to exactly what you hit the nail on the head. The working in the wide receivers and the tight ends into the running game, freeing that up with Najee, the way they started the game in terms of Najee running off that touchdown, the blocking that went through it. Canada is keeping their offense fresh enough that it's challenging the defense. And just think back, Jeff Benedict wrote a really good article this week about the offense on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, and I invite people to go back and look at it. And I compared this year with last year. I actually think people could be more optimistic about this season because the numbers are very similar. But can you imagine what it would be like with this rookie O-line with Beekner as the offensive coordinator? Yeah, Mark's face says it all. And for those on the audio side, Mark's just grimacing. So Canada gets it again. You don't win that game with Randy Feetner. You do win that game with Canada as we did. How about you, Mark?
It's not as predictable, but I have to give it to the main man, Coach Tomlin, for the 150 wins. And everyone, if you're on the... I'm telling you right now, I keep telling people, if you're on the fired Tomlin crowd, you don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. This Coach Tomlin has won 150 games. He's the 20th coach in history to do that. It's your chance to pick up your fan card because it's getting mighty muddy on the ground right now with a lot of people stepping over it. So it's your chance to pick it up because the Steelers are 5-3 on a 4-game win streak. We're winning games. What else do you want? Dave had a massive rant. I won't go into that. I'll save my rants for the end of the year because then I can really put the facts to figures and what's going on. But Coach Tomlin, mate, 150 wins. He's got this team in control, and we're heading to another winning season. What more do you want? We are 1 game away when we beat the Lions, or if we beat the Lions, first place in the AFC North. Trending up, he did a marvelous job. Who is your dunce of the week? And I think we have the same guy.
He's almost my dunce. He's not my dunce this season. That's Akello with the spoon. Actually, Ingram for leaving. At least Akello with the spoon might be on a winning team. No, it's Ray Ray. I mean, I have copped so much flack on this podcast, like at times from people in the live chat. Someone wanted me to go to the US and race them and fight them in like football and try and tackle them and whatever. I was like, well, I think I'm half a shot. Like I played a contact sport for a long time. You know, I'm like I got almost 200 pounds and like almost 6'2". Like I think I can Like you're gonna have to be really like quite quick. Like, but okay. But at the end of the day, regardless of all of that, the point goes back to I'm not a fan of Ray. I've never been. They're not going to make a change this season. I'm aware of that, but I don't know where we go to from here. Is all I'm going to say.
No, I agree. He's my dunce. He's my dunce as well. Situational football, mate. Situational football. You're up by 10 points. You go down. You do not fumble that football in that situation. He did. They scored 7 points. Momentum changer. We've seen it in history where the Steelers have had those momentum changes and we won the game. So Ray, you have to play better. You have to hold that football and not try so hard in those circumstances, because if you fumble there, which he did, it was a fumble. I agree. They ran away 7 points in the back in the game and then they got in front. So he's a dunce for me.
Yeah, everyone keeps going on about this splash playability, the big return. I've never seen it. I'm sorry, I've never seen it. And he did do some cool stuff in college, but even when you look at a lot of the college highlights, it doesn't go more than 30 yards. Which, hey, if you can do that every return, that's very helpful. I've not really seen it, in the NFL, and I've not seen it enough to, as I said at the start of the season, to take the spot that usually a rookie, wide receiver might hold or a young wide receiver might hold. I don't see how that's a smart use of funds or a position spot. But look, that wraps up part one of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky D. Join us for part two. We're going to talk this week's Lions game, bold predictions, some audience Q&A, and really wrap up this preview to a really exciting matchup where the Steelers might end up topping the AFC North. If you're on the audio side, you'll need to flick over to part two. For everyone that's listening live right now, just hold on for a couple of seconds and we'll be right back. And we're back on Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell, joined by my co-host as always, Marky D, Marky Davison. Mark, you know what time of the week it is. It's slinging the slang time. Just as Big Ben likes to sling the rock, we like to sling the slang. What do you got for from an Aussie flavor perspective this week for the listeners?
Before I start my slang, it's going to involve this word, but I want to bring up Tony D.
Tony Duffy on the live chat, mate.
The celebrity. We have a celebrity in the chat right now.
Tony, you're welcome to join us if you want to as well. You're welcome to join us.
We should bring on Tony and just talk Australia with him. It's so much fun. When I did a few shows with Tony, actually, it's a lot of fun when I know we can't take weeks off because we love doing it, right? But if we have a guest in or sometime, it's fun to say Australian words and get their reaction. But mine this week is easy because I had I do a little thing with my Facebook and just me talked to me and said, "What's a bloke?" Because I wrote Cameron Heyward is a good bloke, Yep. And he said, "Is bloke a male or female? What is that?" And pretty much ladies and gentlemen, Tony D is a good bloke. He's a good bloke. He's
a top bloke. Mate.
Oh, mate, top. He's just what's his show? The Friday Night Six Pack. I'd go over with a real six pack, but 2 or 3 of them, so 18 pack, and just sink tins and have a good time.
Just go a case. 24.
Yeah, we'd be in trouble then. We'd definitely be in trouble. Tony's a good bloke. So that come up in on my Facebook page because I think we're the only people. I think us in England use that slang. But Tony, a celebrity in the live chat today.
Mate, Tony Duffio, love your show, love your takes, love the cynicism, love the satire. So good. But what have you got for the listeners? Oh, so you talked about bloke, really? That was your thing. Oh, they still got you there, Mark? Mark, have we still got you there? All right. Well, while Mark gets his connection readjusted, my sling in the slang for this week is blocker. Now, we might have talked about this when we were still on the podcast side of things, but obviously in the NFL, we talk about blockers all the time, and those people being the ones that actually, block, create the space for different players to run around. But sometimes we use the word blocker a bit differently. So you might say a block of chocolate, you might say a block of cheese, and you don't really spell it the BLOCKER part. It's more of a BLOCKA part. So yeah, just when you're thinking that next time you grab like a big thing of chocolate, or you've got the big, block of cheese. Just call it a blocker. Get your Aussie on and just, really accentuate that A&R. But I think Marky D's back now.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, right. Yeah,
I was just thinking as well while you were gone, right? You've got Tony D and you're Marky D. You guys literally sound like brothers from another mother. You got like the same little catchphrase name.
If me and Tony went out on the town, if I went to Pittsburgh tomorrow and we went to Southside, we'd have a time.
I was going to say BTSC might need two new
it'd be
podcasters.
The best. We'd be walking home sunrise and then having breakfast at 7 a.m. Getting Mickey D's on the way home.
Yeah,
it'd be a fun time, and it can happen in the future. You never know. I'll be over there soon with the. I forgot where I went off. I just went into space. My internet just dropped out.
All right. That's right. It actually timed it perfectly to do the transition, so it was all good. That reminds me of a phrase. What you said right there. This is pretty Aussie. When I was back in my the college uni days, it used to be stuff brekkie, get brekkie. That was the phrase.
Really, I never heard of that. That's great.
Well, there's actually a different word that says stuff that starts with an F, but we're a family podcast.
But
let's crack into this week's game against the Detroit Lions, Mark. What do the Steelers need to do to win this game?
They got to treat the Lions like a normal football team. But that's for starters. They got to treat them like one of the 30 teams out there. Remember, I never count the Bengals. They're not a football team. They're terrible. No, you got to treat them like a real football team, to be honest. Jared Goff, he had some success in Rams, but who is he? He's an average quarterback. I think their running backs out there, Lions, they're y'all sling the slang more.
Sorry, Mark, I've been distracted by this great live chat from Sean Manahan, who says y'all sling the slang more than the new revamped Ben doesn't sling the ball these days. Can we get paid some quarterback money then? That'd be good.
You know what? I'll defend Big Ben. I think he's playing okay. I think he's playing better than last year. You know why? Because he's not turning the ball over. In the AFC North, he has four interceptions, and Lamar's got 8. Burrow's got like 20,000. Burrow gives the ball to more.
Burrow can throw a TD, but you hit the nail on the head because for me, that's this week. Ben can't throw interceptions this week.
Not at all. You just got to play smart football.
Exactly.
But I think the Lions guys, Williams is out, so I think Swift will be in there too. I don't even know. I need to do some more research on other teams, but I'm so focused on the Steelers that much. I don't know these new up-and-coming players for the Lions. Like, I don't know who the receivers are, but they need help on the O-line too. They just need help overall. Some weeks they're competitive, and other weeks they get blown out. What Lion team are we going to see? It shouldn't matter because I think with their offense, with Matt Canada is playing such smart football at the moment, he's opening up the offense. And I'll put it to you this way: I am more confident in this team than I was last year because that really was a false 11-0. And we're moving this football around. Gentry's getting involved. Frymouth's getting involved. The O-line is they're playing good, and then when they play bad, they recognize it. They do. Big Ben isn't turning it over. We're getting touchdowns. Najee's running, lights out. He'll crack some soon. They're getting first downs. They're just getting back to, Steel football, and they're always moving up. They're getting better and better and better. Last year, it pretty much was like, from what I saw, was Big Ben 5 wide, let him have a go. This year, we're not doing that as much.
That's it. And you hit the nail on the head, and it's treating them like they should treat every team like a normal NFL team. But it's, for me, when you say that, and it goes back again, and I meant what I said we meant what we said when we talked about a few weeks ago about taking care of business every game. And that is literally the theme. I'm going to say it every single week. But you take care of business every game. The defense has to do the dirty work. It has to do the bread and butter stuff. Like, we need to see more out of the linebackers than what we saw last week. We need to see the secondary step up. Mollette's got to go back to the previous position he was holding. Norwood's got to come in if the scheme makes sense. I think Terrell Edmonds is set for a big week as well. So that's going to be exciting. There's been some talk in the live chat. Yes, Claypool's out. Steve Sims has been elevated, which is interesting. I thought they might elevate Anthony Miller, but Sims has been on the practice squad for a lot longer. I think he frees up a bit. You also talk back to the BTSC awards that we just gave out for this week, or the Iron Heart awards. DJ is playing lights out football at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And particularly that catch that he had that helped extend the drive and keep possession in the fourth quarter. He can do anything on that field. And as I was watching the game on replay in that 40 minutes again, and it struck me this week too, like while watching the game, and particularly the week before against the Browns. Can you imagine DJ with Ben having a better O-line and of the Big Ben of 2017 or before? I'm not saying he would equal Antonio Brown's numbers completely, but his numbers would be up there. Like, he is playing incredible football. Incredible football.
Yeah, definitely. DJ has such good route ability too. And he's really coming into his own, this offense, and he's starting to trend to be number one because, Claypool's out and Juju's out now. So I guess he's our number one. Our receiving core is a bit scrappy at the moment, but that doesn't really worry me. Hey, I'm not worried at all. We have Frymouth doing some things, and I think we're starting to use our tight ends more too.
Yeah.
And Washington will start to play more of a role, and then whoever the third receiver is, fine. Like as long as we have the production value with Najee, and I think what they've been doing over the last 4 games, I'm pretty happy. Yes, we need to score more points. I think we need to score more points in situations where even Mike Tomlin talked about, they're getting flags and they're getting sent back into 3rd and 12s, and then they can't get into the rhythm. These things will happen. They'll take time. They definitely take time over the season. And what better way to verse the Bears, and then we'll verse the Lions, and hopefully get more rhythm involved. Who's our second running back? We still, McFarland was out last week. We don't know what's going on there. And like we said before, do we need a second, or can we dispel the receiver more and get them more involved and do what Patrick Mahomes was done for years? A quarter of his touchdowns is that shovel pass. So,
well, you saw it. You saw it against
exactly. As soon as I saw what Pat Frymouth did there, I thought, Mahomes gets these touchdowns and he gets 50 a season. But honestly, 10 or 12 of those are the shovel pass or the flick pass, and it goes 1 meter forward. So, people counting out Big Ben can't throw the long ball. I think that's a mistake. Even on that long ball he did throw with Washington, he got knocked around a bit. And I like the way that Washington came back, and it was a big play. He came back to the football, got them involved. I did like his presence in the pocket where he found Frymouth. He trusted him. He's got sure hands. There's a lot of things here that are building around this team that I think we should all be excited about, to be very honest. And this year, and not only next year, and if we have Ben again or whoever comes in the quarterback, I think we're building something that maybe last year did seem a bit fake because there was no crowds. It was different year, the COVID stuff, all that kind of stuff. This year, it's like we're getting tough wins. And yes, if we go out and win by 3 points, it's going to be a heartfelt game, but who cares? We're first in the division, and we have, what I find funny, and I want to ask you this question, Matty. Okay. So this week, right, the same team, right, the exact same Steeler team, is everyone's scared about a trap game versus the Lions, but then next week we're going to get bashed up by the Chargers, and we're the exact same team. How does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this goes back, though, to what the Steelers have done in their history. We don't travel well on the West Coast. We've struggled against the Chargers. You look at what we do in games like this against Detroit. I don't think this team is the same team, though. Like, you got to think about this as well. And like the criticism of Tomlin getting the veterans up and whatever. It's a new team. The idea of the trap game is almost changed because it's a new team. There's rookies that have to perform. There's guys that are early in their career that have to perform. Ben has to perform. This is probably his last round, right? And so for me, the trap game doesn't really exist anymore, especially when you're not top of the AFC North. The Steelers have everything to play for this week, right? And so, and in some ways, the Lions don't because they have a top pick, right? So they have a lot to play for in pride. I don't believe in tanking, and I think they will show up a lot more of a fight than what we think. Mm-hmm. So, when you talk about that trap game versus when we go again, but even against the Chargers, like I'm expecting the Steelers to go into that game. We need to win that game. Like you want them to win every week. What are you laughing at, Marky D?
I'm sorry. The live chat got me again. Brian Brown from the YouTube land says, how do I get this up here? Bozzy might get an interception this week. Love it. I would love to see that. I would love to see Chris Boswell get an interception. That's how weird we're playing at the moment.
I would love to think about how that would be possible.
I don't. I'm not. Yeah, is he playing? Is he playing quarterback safety? Is he?
I think it's like a man deep, Hail Mary, and he just he's catches an underneath throw. That'd be great.
I agree with you.
But yeah.
do believe in trap games to a certain extent. Okay, with you maybe the Bills are so hyped up and the Jaguars beat them. Fair enough. The Bills are a good team. Okay, however, this can't be a trap game because this is a game where the Lions are pretty. They're poor, almost at an unfriendly word in front of that. They're poor. They're not a good side, and we are the Steelers. The Steelers are an average side right now. They're not good. They're getting just almost near good, and they're trying to be great. We're not the 8-1 Steelers with a 5-3. So it can't be a trap game. It's at our house. The only thing is if you're not motivated to come to this game, but they will be. Like I think the reason how the progression of the offense and the defense is getting better. Minka's flying around, Cam, TJ. They're not going to go. Okay, they're not going to lay down and say, it's only the Lions. No, they're going to be ready for this game. Najee, his press conferences are so fun to watch. Cam's as well. They just got to treat it like a normal game. And if things go our way, we get a sack here, we get a fumble, then we can start to turn the game in our favor. And then hopefully Big Ben gets 2 touchdowns or something similar.
Yeah, I said so. I made a prediction last week that I didn't make it as my bold prediction, but I kind of should have. And that was Najee shouldn't have more rushing attempts than the number on his back of the jersey. He had 22 rushing attempts.
Did he really?
He did.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't a bold prediction. I just said I don't want to see him rush more than the number on the back of his jersey.
You did too, yeah, exactly. And
right?
that's a really good point as well, because then
this game as well. I'd like him not to go more than Cameron Sutton's jersey, right? I want to see him trick down for a few weeks. I want to see him have a bit more rest, or even less than that. I'd love more like 15 rushing attempts and then work him in through the short passing game where he doesn't have to go straight through those gaps and bash his way through. Like, I'm not saying rest the guy, because if we do, the whole offense is going to change. You want him to keep that momentum and in the rhythm of NFL weeks. We saw what they did with Claypool last year, where they eased him off and then he struggled for 3 or 4 weeks, right? I don't want them to see them do that with Najee, but you've got to stem some of the things that he does. Now, there's a lot of chat as well in the live chat around Steve Sims at wide receiver. Steve Sims is someone, when you look back at what he's done, so he's had 2 seasons in the NFL so far. In his rookie season, he had 8 rushes for 95 yards in the NFL, and he did a bit of rushing as well in that Swiss Army knife role when he was at Kansas too. A bit more of that sort of, I think he's more of a slot receiver sort of thing. But I think it's interesting they're working him into the lineup this week than they are working Anthony Miller into the lineup. And I think when you look at what you said there, Mark, earlier around many receivers having 2 rushes on the season, 2 rushes in the last week's game. You think about DJ, James Washington, now you've got Steven Sims in the mix, even Ray. That it could be like you could see them go 5 wide, like have 4 or 5 wide receivers on the field. But that doesn't mean that they're going to throw the ball necessarily. I mean, do we even see a wildcat this week with Najee?
Well, that's exactly right. Are the Steelers working towards, the Randall L to Hines Ward play? Are they working those similar things in? Because they could be. If Sims can pass it, or one of the blokes there can pass it, it's always an option. You don't want to get too tricky because sometimes it doesn't work. But
yeah,
a lot of the time,
too cute.
If you're bringing down the defense, I saw in the Dolphin game. We'll bring this up too. There was a pass. It was so crazy. It was like a flea flicker. To the quarterback, and then straight away the running back threw the quarterback, vice versa, and the quarterback threw it to the running back. I was like, I've never seen that so fast. Like, that was cool. That was a good play too.
Yeah, it's so for me, that's the big thing, is like making sure Najee, is not having to do too much. The other thing, I think the defense. We need some splash plays this week. We need an interception, big fumble recovery, Terrell Edmonds, time to smash someone and knock the football out of their hands, Minka or Hayden, time to pick someone off, Devin Bush, same thing. You got to be in there, big sacks from you. I need to see the defense, and I wrote in my prediction when it goes live for the BTSC, predictions. If the Steelers are going to get 30 points this season, this is the game to do it, and the defense has to come up with a score here. And you have to hold them back, right? Like, I'm not being fully impressed with some of the things we've been doing on defense 2 weeks in a row. Now, I know we kept the Browns to under 10 points. I know we didn't lose to the Bears. I'm just as much as we're worried a little bit last season with the 11-0 and the Steelers were starting to trend down, I am a little bit worried about the defense as a whole. We've got great guys like Minka, Heyward, TJ doing excellent things. They need some support. You can't win throughout the season with 3 good players on defense and everyone else doing the bare minimum. And I'm not saying that there's just bare minimum effort, but we need the effort to match with the stats and the play.
Yeah, you want to see like a Wormley or a Bugs.
Wormley's been playing pretty well, though. I will give credit to Wormley. He's been playing above what most people would expect.
Yeah, I just want to see him get in the backfield and get a sack or get, disrupt the play. Bush needs to get involved too, still come back from the injury. I think they're a work in progress. And I'll ask you this question. Who's playing better right now? Is it the offense or defense? Ooh.
The offense.
Yeah, I agree too. I think the offense is...
But maybe I'm biased on it because I love rookies and the draft and all the rest of it, right? But look how many... And I talk about it every week on War Room. And unlike this week, I did as well. Look how many look how many rookies are contributing meaningfully on offense, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have to be perfect, but Kendrick Green, Dan Moore, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris, they're some key positions. Pretty much your top tight end, your top running back, your starting center, and your starting left tackle, whether he continues to be that or not. All rookies? There's some pretty key positions. The other thing would be to have a rookie quarterback, right? And we're going to have that at some point soon in the next 2 to 3 seasons. So, Steeler fans, what you're watching right now, we could be losing. And Jeffrey Bendix talked about this. The Steelers team are good enough and have enough talent that they're going to win more games than they lose. They're going to win more than they should each season. But the fact that we've got these rookies now making this contribution, getting this experience, and we've got a chance to be atop the AFC North just over halfway through the season, we should feel very lucky. There are a lot of teams that have the opposite sort of record that might be 3-5 with this many rookies contributing this much. We are very lucky, and it goes back to what Mark said earlier with his Manly Award and Mike Tomlin. Credit to Mike Tomlin and the 150 wins.
Right.
We wouldn't be where we are with these rookies if he wasn't bringing the mentality that he brings.
But some of the comments on Facebook land, and you take them with a grain of salt. I'm done with it, mate. Their card is getting so dirty on the ground.
Dirty on the ground, mate. I'm ready to tear it up.
Yeah, well, tear up their card. It's definitely. I had another analogy too, where I thought about this. We're all on the same train.
For those on the audio side, I just tore the fan card.
Well, that's it. And look, we're all on the same Steeler train, right? You and I up front, we're driving the train. We're so excited and pumped up. The guys...
We're stoking the coal. It's like a steam engine. We're shoveling. We're going in there.
I can't even finish my analogy. Now I'm forgetting what I'm going to say. Okay, look, we're on the same train, right? We're on the Steel City train. You and I are driving. We're feeding the coal. And the Fire Tomlin crowd... if you are listening, hello, how's it going? My name's Mark Davison. Welcome to Behind the Steel Curtain. Look, you're at the very back. You're holding our luggage. You're still on the same train, and we all arrive at the same destination, which is the Super Bowl. But if we do win the Super Bowl and we go that far, you're going to get off last. We're going to cheer first. So look, I don't know what you guys are doing. What more do you want out of Coach Tomlin? Are you going to beat better play? You're going to beat other teams. You're going to beat, this. You're going to do that. The bloke won 150. He's going to win 151, hopefully, versus the Lions. Look, it's a very interesting time right now. The AFC North is filled with such great teams, and they're playing hard football. Browns are shaky. Ravens a little bit shaky. Bengals a little bit shaky. And the Steelers are climbing the ladder, and we could be first. And then what answers do they have then? Oh, you didn't beat, the good teams or whoever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I completely agree with you. And that's why we're going to now go to some audience Q&A. So if you've got a couple of questions, we've got time for some. I think James Ford on the Facebook side, welcome to the show as well. He says, what do you guys think of Mitchell Trubisky? Mark, any thoughts on Mitch Trubisky? I
kind of wonder what he thinks of me. I don't really I don't really know. Is he relevant now still, Mitchell?
Well, by all accounts, I hear that, he would fit very well in Canada's system. I think Trubisky, is in the Terrell Edmonds bucket. He kind of suffers from where he was drafted from. I don't think he's terrible, but heard some analysis, from some other NFL analysts on NFL Network earlier in the season, and they said the problem with Trubisky is going to be, can he do enough behind Josh Allen at the Buffalo Bills, who are struggling actually at the moment? But can he get enough play this season in behind Josh Allen without Josh Allen having to be injured that gives people confidence in his ability to take over a starting role or to be a difference maker or to compete for one next year? That's going to be the difficult thing that we're going to have to see, from him. And again, how much better, are we leveling up hugely compared to Mason Rudolph? Like, who's going to know the offense? Who's going to have had almost 2 years to learn from Canada as Canada being his quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator? I don't know. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying Mason Rudolph's the answer. I'm just saying, Trubisky's got probably a bit more talent on paper there. Whether that translates, I don't know. But I'm firmly in the camp of the Steelers need to be drafting a rookie quarterback sometime in the next 3 seasons. We don't have a franchise player on the roster right now, and I don't see someone around the league being that. Even if you get a Russell Wilson or you get a Aaron Rodgers, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Rodgers going to the Broncos. I think Seattle will pay, will upgrade Wilson to keep him. But even if you got those guys, that's not the long-term answer for the Steelers. We need a long-term answer that we can build around here for when TJ Watt and Heyward and Tuitt are all gone, that's or what's later in his career. We need a rookie quarterback that we can build around, rebuild the franchise. Think about how we've won, behind Bradshaw, behind Ben. They're guys that played for, 12 plus seasons in Pittsburgh. That's what we need.
Yeah, it's funny. You could rinse and repeat the same conversation in 3 years. Big Ben could still be here. And we could. You never. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I really don't know anymore until he hangs up the boots. I don't know. I'm just saying, there could be another quarterback coming in. This is just discussion, but I think we've got to focus on the season. We have to get around our team and improve the 6-3. And if Mitchell wants to come over here, great. But it's going to be hard for me to pronounce his last name, so don't come over. It's too. I can't. Trubisky. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Sorry for all the Trubisky fans out there. Look, I think we just got to stick with Big Ben.
We can call him Trubisky.
Trubisky. Oh boy!
Every time he gets a touchdown, you eat 3 biscuits at once. You just take a bite out of it.
That's funny. I think we got to just keep sticking with Big Ben until he hangs up the bootlaces, and then like I said before, what more do you want out of this? I know we want to win games by 50, but the other team has to play too, and it's been brought up the whole Behind the Steel Curtain podcast week. These teams want to beat us more than anyone else. They want to beat the Cowboys. They want to beat the Steelers because we have 6 Super Bowls and 12 other teams still have 0.
Well, that's it. And this is what you got to be thankful for as a franchise. You got to be thankful for this as a Steelers fan. And I know, Mark, we talk about all the time how thankful we are for it. But in the absence of a few more questions, do you have a bold prediction for this week's game?
I'm going to go really bold. It's not part of my prediction with my score, but I would love to see them be under 10 points or 10 points or fewer for the Detroit Lions. I think that would be the kind of game to see. I think that the Steelers can win, 28-10. That'll be great. We need a defensive performance. And that is when you get what you said too. You need some splash plays, forced fumbles, interceptions where you turn the field and then we run the clock down and they haven't got a chance to score. Put the Lions in a position to where they can't go for field goals anymore. They have to go for 6 points. And in that scenario, if they're going for 6 points, then we get a 4th down stop and it's harder for them to score. So hopefully we can get up by 14 points or 10, and then we put pressure on the Lions, and it would be great to see them score under 10 points for sure.
Nice. I'm going to go... bold prediction. Big Ben, rushing touchdown.
No way.
Terrell Edmonds, a game-killing play. Not a game-killing, like a drive-killing play or a turnover.
Right. You're going 2.
Yeah, I'm going 2.
I like the Big Ben one, though, because I would say...
We've seen it enough, man. You saw the rush that he did at the end of the game last week, and the other thing, too.
That was a first down.
That was 100% a first down.
Oh,
but also, the one that got called back a few weeks ago, we're all worried about Big Ben throwing the ball and getting hit. But I think it's different when you think about anyone who's played any sort of contact sport, any sort of sport. When you're determining where you're going, right? And you know what you're going to do. You can plan for that. You can brace yourself for impact. Something to me says that, and I know he's got all these niggling injuries, and I know that he's like, 39, whatever. But something says to me that Big Ben's prepared a lot more to put his body on the line than he has in the last couple of seasons. And like he's taking the hits and he's getting back up, and he came into the season looking fitter and fresher. I don't care about what size gut he has or doesn't have. I don't know. Something to me says that he might do it this game. Or they might leave him way open. Like imagine if he does a fake to Najee and then there's a hole when he turns around.
That Philadelphia special that every team's doing now, the Lions will probably be like, they'll get burnt on that, and then Big Ben gets the TD. I can see Big Ben running for 2 yards for because he's the player that you don't think is going to run for 2 yards for a touchdown. But look, that 2-point conversion should have been a 2-point conversion. And last week that was definitely he. Don't even start me because I know we're going to end the show. But he got the first down. Didn't matter. Boswell synced it. I like that. I like that. Touchdown to Big Ben.
Yep. And then that'll be a touchdown from the touchdown under. Center. Under center.
Oh, mate.
But with that wraps up this week's Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky Davison, Marky D. Marky, as always, close out the show.
Go Steelers.